"Watch my feet," he said. "Watch my feet." And he pedaled as fast as he could, and he went absolutely nowhere. I find that most people in life fall into one of two categories when it comes to the vision they have for their life, for their business, for their future. On the one hand, they have a macro vision. They're so far zoomed out that the tiny details of what needs to be done, what has to be done, the daily practice of what needs to be done, it gets lost, like in the forest. And then others have a micro view. They're not looking at the forest or the trees. They're staring at the wood ants on the bark. Which one of those are you? Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast. 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. And I find a lot of people, especially coming into a new year, they want to write a vision plan. They have a new idea for what they should be doing with their time for the year. Now, we all know that coming into 2020, that was just blown apart like a confetti in a windstorm. But we also know that if we don't have a plan and put it together in some fashion, that we write it down, whether it's a whiteboard or it's a chalkboard or it's a digital device or actually putting it in a journal, if we don't do that, then the odds are that we're probably going to be way off course by, say, I don't know, January 15th. At some point, we're going to lose the idea that came to our mind. You know, that Jack Canfield and Dr. Caroline Leaf both talk about the fact that the intuition, the idea of a new idea that comes to us. And you can find this in Think and Grow Rich. You can find this in As a Man Thinks. You can find this in just about any field of mind sciences. The concept that when a new thought comes to mind, you got a very short period of time to do something with it. In Jack Canfield's book, Success Principles, he actually talks about the 37-second genius. Now, the 37-second genius is the notion that when a new idea comes to mind, it will stay in mind for about 37 seconds and then it will evaporate. So if you don't write it down, if you don't capture it somehow, if you don't start to think more about it, it's going to be gone. So that new idea may be at a micro level. It may be a specific task that you need to accomplish. And you might be thinking about that task in the moment that it comes to your mind because of another task you're doing or something else that's going on in your world. That's called the juxtaposition of life. This moment, this time, these events, that's when the new idea comes to mind. And it may not be the right idea at the right moment to take action right now. In fact, you might think if that idea came to mind, I need to drop everything and do it right now. No, you don't, but you do need to make note of it. Because in the overall grand scheme of things, if all you're doing is taking these new ideas as they come and you're taking action on each individual one, you're going to find yourself leading yourself and your team down a very crooked path. Because those ideas often look like branches of a tree or branches of a river or even the veins on a leaf. Up close, they look like you're running in all kinds of different directions. From time to time, you've got to make note of those new ideas that come to mind. Caroline Leaf says this new thought is like a little fluffy ball of a protein that actually can be seen on an MRI. You can watch it as it comes from nothing and it begins to expand. That's the idea. Well, if it's a good idea and you take some time right then to write the idea down with all the detail that you have, to ponder it, to meditate on it, to think about it, then it will grow into this beautiful little tree of new ideas and more new ideas and more new ideas. If you ignore it, it'll expand and then like a balloon, it'll just pop. And suddenly your new idea is gone. For most people, the balance between the macro and the micro is a matter of taking a moment from time to time to step back and look at all the ideas that you've had over a period of time, whether it's a day, a week, a month, or several months, or even a year, and to lay them out and ask yourself the question, what's the common theme? Where do they all fit together? See, the story that I mentioned at the very beginning, watch my feet, my grandson was about 3 years old. And in the apartment complex he used to live in, there was a volleyball sand pit. And as he was learning to ride his bicycle, he was pedaling across the sidewalk and got into the end of the sand pit where there is no barricade at the end, it's just grass and then sand. But when he tried to ride across it, he was only staring at his feet as he was pedaling. He's marveled at how fast his feet were going. When he rode off into the sand, obviously the bicycle came to a complete stop. As it stopped, he continued the motion. He never looked up to realize he's surrounded by sand and his bicycle's actually stuck and his little wheels are going nowhere, but he was pedaling his heart out. And I think many of us get caught in the micro aspects of the activity of our life. We lose sight of the big picture. We forget where we are in relationship to the things we're trying to accomplish or even the direction we're trying to go. And we find ourselves pedaling our little hearts out in the middle of a sand pit. Now, it doesn't mean the activity is bad, but it does mean the progress is not coming. So I challenge you as leaders, take the time to look at your world from a macro level. Zoom out, get a feel for everything that's going on around you. Get all of those ideas that have come to mind that you've taken the time to write down and see how they fit together so that you can craft a plan to implement all of those activities into the coming year. If you don't take the time to do both, write down every little idea and ask how they fit together, then you're going to be lost either in the macro or the micro. You either can't see the trees for the forest or the forest for the trees, or you're staring at wood ants on a piece of bark. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.